We have a 1978 Jeep J10, even though the owner says it's a J20, Honcho edition. It's been sitting since 1999. You can see it has not started, ran, did anything since then. The spark plugs were missing, a lot of stuff that were missing on it. It had no battery in it, it had no end cables on it. I had to replace them. The ignition wire was detached, which I fixed. It just doesn't it just looks like it's actually been sitting for a very long time. The motor was seized when I picked it up. It took me I don't know, less than 24 hours to get it unseized. Basically, I poured transmission fluid into the spark plug sockets, spark plug holes, and I gave it enough lubrication. So the next day, I let it sit for 24 hours. The next day, I came in, turned the motor over by hand, didn't want to go. I went back and forth with it using the bottom crank pulley. And eventually, it let loose and it started moving. So I put the battery in and started hitting it with the starter button, and it started to turn freely. So that's where I sit. I have not tried starting it yet. I am going to do a tune-up on it. I got some new plugs, wires, cap rotor, a new fuel filter. The fuel line that was on it was completely kinked and broken, so it wasn't sucking no fuel. Of course, the fuel pump's way down here. I just put a jet right from it straight into the carb just to see if I can get it running. I do have a new fuel filter sitting over here to run back to the fuel tank. However, the fuel tank is pretty much non-existent. And you can see it's just holes in it. And if you look down from the top, yeah, there's no fuel tank. So I got to figure out how to rip this thing off, disconnect everything, and proceed to buy a new fuel tank for it. This customer found me on YouTube, reached out to me because I live Eastern Tennessee. He actually lives within 15 miles of my house. Wanted to see if he can get it started at a reasonable cost. I quoted him a price, and here we go. He wants it running and driving under its own power, so there's going to be motor, working on transmission replacing, because he said the bands in the transmission gave out, and that's why he parked it. Their spark plugs that came out, they're not too bad looking. They've seen better days, but all in all, they're not terrible. The only problem is we didn't have a complete set of the same make and model, same type. So I switched everything over to Denzos. Spark plug gap was 0.35. For those of you that are new to working on older vehicles, make sure you use dielectric grease when doing your tune-up. It really does help with the connectivity of your spark plugs to the wires, and the wires to your distributor cap. So just make sure you get that done before you put everything together. This is inside your distributor cap. The rotor is rusty. You can see right there the tip of it. So I am going to try and clean a lot of that rust out. Maybe even get some cleaner in there and hard brush it out. Try to clean it up, make it look better. So I'm taking the gasoline, since it doesn't have a gas tank on it, and I'm about to fire it up for the first time to see if it will actually start. I had to hook the fuel pump to an extra hose coming right out the bottom, and instead of hooking it to the line on the side of the motor, or yes, running down a fuel rail. So basically I'll just stuck it in and got it way down here at the bottom of the tank. That way I'm not sucking air. And if all goes right, I should be able to fire this old 78 up. All right. Here goes nothing. All right, here we go again, trying again. Come on, baby. Here we go. Okay. Sounds like I might have a wire crossed. Sounds like I got a wire crossed. I think I know which ones they are. I think it's this one right here and that back one, if I'm not mistaken. That's the only two I had that were questionable. Alright, let's see now. Ooh. Well, it starts, it runs.